Hello, everyone, and welcome to Natural Beginnings First. I don't know what to call these. I think I'm going to call them kind of like Tuesday Talks, where we talk to a birth professional in the community that's going to give us some great information, and then you get to learn more about the people who serve our community here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Malia, and I am the marketing coordinator for the birth center. I'm also a birth assistant at the birth center. I also do pretty much anything they ask me to do because I love them. And I also own Your Empowered Postpartum, which is a virtual support community for women. And um, and then, I do all kinds of other things because why have one job when you can have five? So I'm happy today to be talking with Liza Jane White, who is a birth professional in our community she's served patients at our birth center. She also does some work over at Davis Regional, and she's going to walk with us today a little bit and talk about how it's been to transition to a lot of online childbirth classes since we're not doing in person right now via COVID-19, and about some of the things that are more difficult to learn in an online forum, but that can still be learned nonetheless. So welcome, Liza Jane.
Hi, Malia.
Tell us a little bit about you and your company and what you do.
So my business is called Liza White Birth Services, and I am a labor doula, a childbirth educator, and a birth photographer. I also am adding lactation educator. Currently, I'm working on that certification. And so I do take clients in the Hickory, Statesville, Charlotte area. I teach a childbirth class at Davis once a month. Right now, that's sort of on hold, but I'm getting ready to pick that back up with an online version. I teach infant CPR there also, and I teach a childbirth class at Natural Beginnings, usually every other month. Those are on hold now as well. So I'm sort of transferring over to an online version right now. And I do one-on-ones too, if anybody ever needs one.
Awesome. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is, there's always been like online versions and there's been in-person versions, and of course of childbirth ed, and people just sort of pick, what's right for them. And I've always told people, like, if you can't find the time to get to a class in person, then do online. But my recommendation has always been to do it in person if at all possible. And now we're in a time where that's not possible to do them in person because of social distancing and the recommendations, and we don't really know when we'll be in that space where we can do in person again. So what has it been like for you kind of switching into that online education mode? What do you have been the challenges for you personally as a teacher?
Well, it was sort of deciding if I wanted to do something that was pre-recorded with handouts and like a PowerPoint that people could watch on their own time, or to do something live. And for me, I just decided to do something live and interactive to keep it, as much like an in-person class as I could. So I can take questions and maybe gear the class specifically to the people who sign up based on their needs and where they're birthing.
Awesome. That's good. So today I asked you to talk a little bit about kind of the three big things that are harder to teach in an online space, but can be done nonetheless with a little creativity. So what is kind of the first thing that you identified as being a little bit harder to teach virtually?
I think positions, of course, like different laboring positions, positions for pushing, that kind of thing. I mean, I like to demo them, but I also turn around and have the couples practice them so I can sort of correct them if they're doing something wrong, or it really helps for people to um, see how something feels like with comfort measures as far as massage or counter pressure or hip squeeze. If they feel it one or two times, they in the moment will know if they're doing it right, if it's the partner, if it feels right, if it's the mom. And so, not being able to show that in person is kind of a hurdle, but I'm using whatever, I'll show myself, and if I need to use one of my kids as a demo, I can. So that would be my first one that I think got hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I have had the same challenge moving the Natural Beginnings Birth Essentials class online too, is just being able to, it used to be I would take everybody into the birth rooms and kind of show in person. I would actually get in the birth pool and show different positions and all. And of course, now doing a live online class, that's not as easy to do. So we're all having to be very innovative right now, including the pregnant women and their partners who are learning. And so yeah, it will be a lot of kind of at home practice now, and then communication
Yeah.
about things like that. What else is more challenging?
So the another thing, and it sort of ties into the positions, would be teaching the partner how to support the woman, and so not being able to give them a demonstration and to sort of guide them and show them um, things that they can do as far as touch that are helpful. And so it sort of ties into my first one, but it's also something that sort of is a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So are you encouraging just a lot of at home practice and trying different things out?
yeah, I'm sending a book with the people who enroll in my class. They get a book, and so in the book there's some um, like sketches of positions and things partners can do to help. And so, yeah, I'm just encouraging my 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 class, people who sign up for my class, to just practice those things after they've seen me demo them. And of course, they can reach out to me anytime and if they have any questions.
Yeah, that's important. So you're staying available for them
Mhm.
to ask questions or um,
Yes, I always do that. Even if I'm not their doula, I always um, let people know that they can send me a text or an email anytime if they have a question.
awesome. What's the third thing you feel like has been more challenging in the online space?
Um, Teaching about interventions, because um, I like to do a activity that sort of um, really dim how restricted you can become once the interventions kind of start, and one thing can lead to another. And it's really beneficial for women to see like how important the mobility is in labor and how it can be so restricted um, with interventions, and once you're not able to get up and move around as much. And so that's harder for me to demonstrate online in a video, because I do an activity where we tie ropes around each body part where there's an intervention. So when you're done, you can kind of see like how many things you would have on you while you're trying to labor and hold your new baby and nurse your new baby. And so that's really, it's hard to make an impact on that topic. Um, and that really um, it pertains more to people who are obviously birthing in the hospital opposed to the birth center, where they don't have those options and don't need to really um, um, worry about them as much, or having to make the decision whether to do certain things. So, but I do try to cover both in my childbirth class, because people, it's good for them to at least hear it. Even if they're birthing at the birth center, there's always a possibility that things could change. And so it's helpful if they have heard it or at least seen it. And so I can't really teach that as well through through a virtual class, but I'm just doing my best.
Maybe you can tell everybody to bring all their scarves to the virtual class.
I
Use
could,
those
or
as robes.
that's a good idea. Or just bring my 8-year-old in here and have her be the demo and show. I don't know.
Yeah, but really that's, I think, one of the key parts about the in-person classes is just that connection with other people. And so when you do a group exercise like that, it does have more impact, because not only are you experiencing it yourself, but you're looking at someone else who is doing the same things, and that has a big impact. And it's, you know, kind of a connectedness feeling. So I can see how that's more challenging in the online space for sure. I'm so thankful that we have technology that allows us to move it into the online space. You know, there was a day and time when none of
This
this
wouldn't
would
be
have
an
been
option.
possible.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that. But I know that also, you know, there are some barriers that, I mean, there are just some things that you can't replace, you know, with in-person contact and in-person
Right.
connection. But I'm happy to know that childbirth educators are getting creative and doing their best to bring really good childbirth education into the online spaces. And I love the aspect of doing it live too, because if you were planning to do an in-person class, you still at least get that interaction of being able to ask questions and things like that. What do you recommend for couples or for moms, single moms who are taking a childbirth class online? How do you recommend they prepare themselves, you know, for learning in that space?
Um, I guess well, first off, I'm gonna send the book, and so if it's my class, they can sort of review the book beforehand. And I also, whenever they do a registration, it asks some questions about is this their first pregnancy? How many, if not, how many kids have they had? And they have an opportunity to let me know if they have anything that they're specifically interested in that they want to, you know, focus on. And if they can let me know those things, I can try to integrate it into the class. And yeah, just to have a space where they can maybe have a yoga mat and a yoga ball so that they can practice some of the positions that I demonstrate at the same time. And I'll do my best, you know, through the video just to see if they need to fix anything or change it up at all.
That's good. That's good to know. Tell me, for you too, because we were talking about this just doing this interview this morning, you know, the online space is convenient and all, but what it means is you're still at your house and your kids are in there watching a movie and you're just like, please don't start fighting. What has that been like? How does that feel?
I mean, it's fine. People usually, when you have a large Zoom group, you can put everybody on mute. And if they need to ask a question, they can unmute themselves. But if their kids are running around in the background or watching the video too, that doesn't matter. I try to cut down on my kids in the room as much as I can. But it's just a time where we have to sort of adapt to
Yeah.
where we can.
Well, and it's teaching us to be imperfect, right? Like right now, we're doing this interview, and the landscapers are here in my neighborhood. And, I don't know when they're coming. I can't always plan my life around
Right.
it. But isn't that kind of how we want to approach childbirth anyway? It's like, we'll make a plan to do this, is our vision, and we make a plan for that, but we're always having to be flexible
Yes.
for the things that might come up, and not just childbirth but life and all of parenthood,
Right.
right? Just when you think you have something figured out, something new and weird
Curveball.
happens that makes you have to reintegrate and get creative and think of new things.
Right.
So we're all in that space of doing that right now. So I think this is probably the time of being the most understanding of things like that than there's ever been. Intrusions and you know, kids needing something to eat and something to drink or some help in the middle of your
Yeah.
Zoom meeting. so
Right.
so yeah, and for those of you who don't haven't used Zoom before and you might be contemplating taking a class online with Zoom, no, that is a feature that we often use. Is those of us who are hosting the Zooms can mute everyone so that your kids can be having an all-out fit in the background and nobody is any the wiser as long as
Right.
you don't unmute yourself. So that is and you can also turn off your video. I've had to do that a couple of times, during a Zoom meeting, where I can just click my video off so that just my name comes up so that I can maybe walk away to do something, or, and I'm not being distracting to the other people. So
Yeah.
that's a function that's really nice to have
Hmm.
working in that space.
Yeah.
So
It works really well, I think.
yeah. So tell people, if they're interested in finding out about your services, what's the best way to contact you? And as a doula, what type of services are you offering right now in the middle of, all the different pandemic regulations at the hospitals and things like that?
Yeah. So I think the best way to find me is through my website, which is lizawhitebirthservices.com. And you can find me on Facebook too. And my phone number is in both of those places. So you can text me or call me, or do people talk on the phone anymore? Really? You can email me, Facebook message me, however. And so what else did you ask me what I offer as a doula
Yeah,
right now?
what services, and then is there anything you're doing differently right now besides the online childbirth? Is there anything you're doing differently as a doula with the COVID restrictions and things?
So I do offer doula services. I am still taking clients. Women birthing at Natural Beginnings and Davis can still have their doulas with them. And for anyone who's interested in hiring me that's birthing at the hospital, I'm offering support leading up to your labor, and then I can support you in person at your home and all the way up to the door of the hospital. And then I can support you virtually, like with FaceTime or Zoom, if that works for you. If that's not something you want to do, then we just sort of tailor things to however is going to work best for each person in this situation. I don't think any of us know when the visitor restrictions will be changed in hospitals. We can hope that it long term, but I guess there's just no way to know right
Right. Yeah, I think we're all playing this by ear for sure.
now.
And just so everyone knows that currently, today is May the 6th, and currently, today is May the 6th, right?
I think so. Yes, you're right.
Currently at Davis Regional, that the birth center also delivers at, you can have one support person with you, which is usually a partner, a family member, and then you can have a second support person if that person is trained and certified as a doula. And your doula will need to bring her training certificate or credentials or whatever with her to the hospital in order to be admitted as that second person. um, that there's that the one person, like the partner support or family support person or whichever you choose, and the doula support, those are not, it has to be the same people throughout. Your partner can't come be with you for a little while and then switch out with
With
your
your
mother.
mom. Yeah, right.
So that's, if you have any questions about that, be sure to talk to the midwives. And at Natural Beginnings, you can still have two support persons, no children at this time, in the labor space, or in the birth center. And your two support persons pretty much have to stay in the room with you um, the majority of the time, leaving to go to the bathroom and things like that. We're not utilizing the waiting room area, especially when we have more than one family birthing at a time. So just reviewing those with you. And if you're interested in having a doula or interested in online childbirth education, contact Liza. And she can let you know what she's got available, what's coming up. Go to her Facebook page, go to her website, and see what her offerings are. Liza, thank you so much for chatting with me today and talking a little bit about the online learning space for childbirth education and giving us some things to think about and some pointers for people that are considering that option.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right. This was our first Tuesday talk. I think that's what I'm going to call it.
Tuesday talk.
This is our first Tuesday talk. So you guys can let me know in the comments what you think, what kind of things you would like to hear more about, what subjects, what type of learning you'd like to hear. And I'm betting you I can find a birth professional who's willing to talk about it. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again on our page for the next Tuesday talk.